But hi, I'm Lenore with Yard Cards Grow Your Business. And I work on a lot of different things to try to help people grow their businesses through doing different marketing tactics and different things like that. And tonight, I just wanted to have a conversation to talk about 2020. And yes, it's been a rough year. And yes, it's been tough. But one of the things that's come out of it is that this yard card business, a lot of people have joined the business and have continued on and set up their own business. And some people are thriving very well. We've been in business for a little over 3 years, and we have the yard cards. We also have a photo booth and we have balloon decor. So we do a lot of different things, but the yard cards is something that we always just kind of had in the background that just took off this year, and we had to hang on to our hats because whereas we used to do one now and then, or we would do a setup in front of a photo booth birthday party or something like that, it wasn't anything we really pushed hard. Well, then when the event stopped and we quit pushing our photo booth, we started pushing the yard cards. So we're just excited to see how much it's grown in the last year. It's just been amazing. And it's all over the US and Canada. And I have a friend that's in London, and hers is growing every single day. So it's not just here. So I wanted to go ahead and talk and see if people wanted to talk about how their 2020 went quickly when it pertains to yard cards. Does anybody want to pop in and start with that? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if if you're brand new to the business this year with yard cards. If it's your second year or more and your business increased over the last year, give me 2 thumbs up, I guess, just so we can see how it's going and what it looks like with everyone. Unless you want to talk, you're welcome to talk. All right, Julie says it's been a slow 6 months. And Demetria has you're new.
This is Demetria. I just started maybe like 2 months ago, and it hasn't been extremely busy, but I've piqued a lot of interest, so looking to pick up here soon.
Great. Okay. And Lynn says 3 months and steady. I have to say, for us, this is our third year. This was probably our slowest Christmas we had. We did convert over to, and we were doing the long-term setups. We created 4 different designs where as soon as you purchased them, we left them up through the 27th of December. And we did sell out of that, which I have to say was very nice. We increased our pricing and different things, and it was just nice to set it up once and to leave it up. And then we were able to do all our birthday ones in addition, because we weren't going out every other day and taking down Christmas and stuff. So that's something we'll probably repeat next year. And if you didn't learn about it, if you look on the Facebook group, Making Christmas Count, you can see the different programs that we had talked about. It was one of our courses that we gave, and we actually followed it. And as I said, for us here in South Florida, we sold out a lot of, not to pinpoint, but a lot of senior citizens took us up on that offer because they couldn't go out and set up their own holiday decor. And so they liked it that we came out, we put it up. We had an option with lights and without lights. And I think every customer but one purchased it with the lights. So it was an exciting time. The different times we were extremely busy, obviously during graduation and Mother's Day. And then we were continuous because we were writing back to all our birthday people each year. We send them a note about 3 weeks out before their birthday, asking if they want us to come back out. And then we always show them whatever new designs we have, so that they don't feel like they're going to get the same thing that they had last year. So did anybody do any special holiday events or promotions that they would want to share?
Promotions or specials. I did do a weekly rental, a few of those, which was pretty cool.
And so that went well for you? Were they specific themes or just the birthdays and
Uh,
stuff?
I just did a few Christmas ones and the Happy Holidays. So
All right, that's great. That's really
Yeah,
good.
pretty excited. They were it lasted in the yard for about 5 days. Came back and it was still intact. So that's all I like to know.
Yeah, I like those. It's the same amount of work on whether or not you are setting them up once or if you're setting them up multiple times. So if there's a way that you can get them to pay a price for multiple day setups, it does work out, well like that. And so that's exciting to hear. Oh, we just had a whole bunch of people pop in. So that's great. Um, so
How did you
welcome.
target senior citizens? How did you do that?
I use Facebook, and I believe I also used a lot of the moms groups, and I think the moms groups were the ones buying it for their parents or anyone. We sent it to our email blast list and stuff like that. But most of the people, when we, knocked on the door to let them know that it was up when they were opening doors, we were surprised that majority of them was the much older crowd here in South Florida, which is great for me because we have a lot of snowbirds that come down. And so that was definitely, not something we had anticipated, but it worked out great for us. So, um, so what we're talking about just briefly, one of the things that we did, if you want to write where you're from in the chat area so everybody can see what city you're from, we were doing that. And then the next thing that we were talking about is we were talking about if you had any like special holiday promotions or and it could be any holiday, Christmas, Halloween, Memorial Day, and that's what we were just briefly going over. And so if you had, oh, Stuart, Florida, we got a lot of Florida people here today. Nice. Um, all right, everybody's being so quiet on Sunday. So the boo promotion. Oh, okay. So Lynn says she was busy with the boo. So that was good. We were busy with the boo, but not as busy as we thought we were going to be. We thought it would be a little more popular, but I think people were still just very nervous about everybody going out there. I think we did 8 different setups for the boo, but we had bought enough to do like 10 a night. So we were kind of crazy on how many we bought. We overbought on that one. So the next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about what everybody's thinking about the stakes and the wood stands and different things. Who's using the wood stands? If you want to drop that in the chat, or if you just want to speak up, an option to it. So okay, so Chris Ann has mentioned that she used them many years ago and she stopped using them. Chris, can you unmute and tell us why you would stop using them? Was it harder to do than just using the regular stakes?
Hi there,
Oh,
can you
here
hear
you
me?
are. Yes.
Hi. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy 2021 to everybody. Okay, so long before, I'll say pre-pandemic, pre-explosion of the yard card industry, it was a lot of trial and error. And so the stands are not new. This is new to new people. And the reason that you don't see a lot of the old timers using them is because over time, they're just a pain. You gotta schlep them along, and sandbags are heavy and they're ugly. And they're also a hazard in somebody's yard if they trip over them. And so I have opted out of them because maybe, I'm just lazy. But and I'm also I guess Texas is a southern state, but we have concrete a lot of the time. So, it's probably similar to a frozen ground.
Yep.
And so what I think they would be great for, and I've used them for mostly, has been indoor yards, especially like at expos and fairs and offices. I opted out of doing them inside at places, like at somebody's home. If they did like a DIY where I would bring it over and then they would set it up because I didn't want the liability. I know I sound so funny when it comes to all this liability stuff, but I've seen a lot. But I think if I lived up north, if I could brave the elements, which a lot of the old timers, and I say old timers, I guess that could be anybody that's done this for 2 years or more.
Yeah. 2 years, I would say, is an old timer for yard cards.
Right. I know, which sounds hilarious because up until March, we considered them still, if it was under like 3 years, they were still new to us.
Yep.
But if I could brave the elements, I think it would be worth it because you could also, I don't think a lot of people are going to be coming out. And if people are interested, we didn't used to have all this interest either.
Mhm.
And so you've got to do something besides the frozen ground. What the Northerners used to do is stake it in the snow. And so I think that just matters based on the type of, and I'll say this, the type of snow you have. I'm talking stuff I don't know, being from a non-snowy area. So I think there is a place for it. And it's a matter of being able, practicing. And I would say I had specific signs I could put on the stands versus anything and everything. And that was one of the lessons I learned was, okay, not everything, it wasn't a one size fits all. And the one thing I think is now available are different sizes. And that was a lot of work for me to carry and, make all the different sizes. And so I think that's great to have nowadays that you can get them,
Yeah.
I'd say all over the place.
Yeah, it's interesting because I, being from Florida, again, no snow here, so I've never used them either. And I went to a convention a few weeks ago, and the welcome sign, they hired a yard card company to come in and they did this cool welcome sign with the conference logo and everything. So I looked at them pretty closely. I took a ton of pictures, and then it just so happens my flight leaving was a little later than the other folks, I guess. And so I just walked down there and I saw these ladies bending them over with a big wagon and a wheel, a cart thing that they had. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I can just pull up in my car and do the yard cards out there. And so, yeah, so that was the only time I had actually seen them in
But
person, I
it
guess.
looked cool, didn't it?
It did look very nice, and they had their logo across the front, so you
Yeah.
definitely knew the name of the company that did it and their phone number. But then when I saw them put it away, I'm like, oh, that would be me not wanting to put them away.
Yeah, I mean, it's laborious. The one thing about it, and I don't know about doing it outdoors, but if it were at some sort of a professional event, I would have a surcharge. I would have an upcharge
Oh,
on
yeah.
that. That is definitely a higher ticket priced item because, it is extra. You're not just pulling up in your car and doing it as well. So
Right.
I'm glad you saw it up close and personal.
So does anybody else have any comments or questions about stakes or the wood stands? Has anybody tried using the really tall ones? That seems to be the new fad right now. Let's try to get our yard signs to be 10 feet tall, which, and where I live, they just blow over and it's frustrating, or I have to put garden stakes behind them. And so I'm trying to get back to the lower level ones once again. It looks cool and I tried it, but it's a little more work than, and I can't trust that when I come back the next day, they're gonna, still be standing upward that I like, that I feels the quality that I leave it in, that I expect it to be in when I come back the next day. So Kim, you said you used them the other day and they work. Oh, the trellis stakes. I haven't used the trellis stakes. So I'll have to look at your page and see some pictures. So they work. You can talk, Kim. You don't have to write everything. Um, well, that's cool. Maybe I'll try those. I have not tried those. I've just tried, I think it's the construction ones where you buy the stakes and you can trim them down. And those just, at least here, because I'm less than a mile from the beach, they just blew over.
I had to dial in on the phone to hear you, but I mean, their work, I used them for the first time the other day because there's this big hoopla over them, so I'm like, okay, let me see what this is about. I mean, I think they do well for the height, but you definitely have to secure them and tape the sign and zip tie the sign.
Yeah.
So that probably took 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And I only had two, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
to try to figure out, the placement of it. And that was my first time using them. So that's probably why it took me 10 minutes to secure it to the trellis stake.
Okay, well, that's cool. If if you happen to have a picture from the other day, if you can put it up on the page under the invite for this, I'd love to see it. And
Okay, I don't have the back of the stand, but I'll show you the front where I
okay,
put the sign above the lettering.
okay, that
Okay.
sounds great. So the next thing on our list, are you finding that you're using the same layouts multiple times, or each time you do one, are you creating a whole new layout for each customer? So I will say that for me, it definitely depends on the yard, but I try to. I'm now taking more individual pictures of what I have. I was doing themes, like if they talked about mermaids, I'd show them all my mermaid things. And now I've kind of almost made like a little gallery of all the different things. And the other day I had a lady who wanted nothing but flowers. So I pulled out flowers from like 5 or 6 different sets I had, and I have to say it was beautiful. It's probably one of the prettiest ones I've done. And granted, she was turning 40, so it wasn't a kid's party or a kid's birthday, but it looked beautiful with the roses from my wedding and the daisies, and I had the bees and all these different ones, and I pulled them together. And it was just kind of unique that, I have to really start thinking I don't have, just because they're made in sets, I don't need to keep them in the sets. So I'm thinking about that a little bit more, and maybe, some of the themes I have, like the mermaids and the superheroes and those little things, I'm going to keep together, but I think I'm going to try to start selling other things, that way, and just letting them show and pick and choose, like, do you want a whole flower setup, do you want just all pink and different things. So I wanted to see if anybody else was finding that. It seems like now the busier or the more yard cards I see in the neighborhood, the more creative my customers want me to be. Like, they don't want it to be similar to the one down the street. And I had a lady a couple of weeks ago that said, I want no balloons. That's all I see in yard cards are balloons. I want no balloons. So I, I did everything for her without balloons, but it's just kind of weird. She had a lot of stars and a lot of ice cream cones. Um, but is anybody else having that? Oh, okay. So, Chris, your style sets you apart with the other competitors. That's great. That's really good. How many do you have? A ton of different themes, or do you try to focus on like one and just build on one continuous set, or how are you doing that?
Basically have, I will call it's the foundations, but I don't market it that way. I market it as the video game theme, or this, or the families here don't want a general sports theme because their kids don't play 5 sports or 6
Mhm.
sports. They play basketball, or they play baseball, or they might play football and baseball. And so I'll offer them a football theme, or a baseball theme. But what I'm doing is I'm building on the base. So
Mhm.
it's going to be bright colors. I will offer them different happy birthday yard phrases, as I call them here. And so those will be specific colors. There'll be a lime green theme. I have a bright multicolor, lime green, red, yellow, so I have those. And so most of the time they're like, whichever,
Yeah.
but a lot of the times they're like, oh, his favorite color is lime green. I happen to know the lime green looks the best with the video game theme. And so I'm adding in several video game pieces, but it's still my base bright color theme, where it's balloons, stars, presents, party hats. And
Mhm.
so by just tweaking it, it used to be we did a minimum of 20 of the same pieces of the same theme. And now, as basically when Sign Gypsies, actually the company before them, came around, that's when the lawn letter craze started. And so then people were okay with a dozen flowers. Flowers is a very, princesses used to be popular. And
Mhm.
so now it's come full circle, where then the letters were the whole trend. It was, I don't care about anything else, just give me, happy birthday, Lisa. It was just that, and they only wanted a couple of other designs. Now it's coming back, the pendulum is swinging, And so flowers, I will do a dozen flowers is a good example because you can do the different sizes in groupings.
Great. You go. So the next,
Lenore,
yes.
I love the flowers too. I've found that I've started adding different color flowers from different sets that I've bought. So the
Mhm.
flowers and the hearts, and now I think like the jewels are cute, really cute too. A couple of companies have had those.
Uh-huh.
Like, so I've started adding those and interchanging them in each of the sets. So it's a good thing. The fillers are good. Then you don't have to like rebuy new stuff. You can just interchange them and use them. So
Yeah.
first I hated the flowers and now I love them.
I also started using the flowers. Like I actually cut the H stake where I have my business sign and I slid some of the smaller flowers up the stake. So when you see my business sign, it has the business sign and then it has all different flowers around it. And because we also do actual balloons, we sometimes will also use the stakes and we'll put a large balloon flower that
Yeah.
matches the colors next to that.
Chris,
So,
I'm just talking about the regular flowers, not like those fancy ones everybody was buying. I just mean like the plastic yard card one.
oh, and that's what I use too. The only like
Oh,
the fanciest flowers I get would be the balloon ones. But yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah, I've
haven't.
started using the flowers, but like behind your hair, Lenore.
Okay. That's cool.
I tried those, but they didn't work for me. So I just used the plastic ones.
Yeah, it rains too much here for me. And I think one time I got those flowers from Hobby Lobby and I didn't like the way in the rain, they just didn't hold up long enough. So, but, all right, well, that's very cool. I think there's more and more things. I have been using a lot more lights. I bought a bunch of those push button lights that stay on for 6 hours. And anybody that has me set up between like 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., if they're doing a nighttime thing, I just Velcro them to the back of the signs in front. And then I push them all and they stay on for 6 hours. And it really adds to it. So that's something that we've added. And I mostly do that for the adult parties, especially if it's somebody that's hired the yard cards that I do for corporate things for other stuff. But if you ever see those, I got them at Big Lots, I'll just be honest. They were on a clearance sale and I got them for like 30% off. I think they were $4 for a pack of two. You put in the batteries. These things last 6 hours and they are so bright. They look great outside. And I haven't had a single one go bad yet. I changed the batteries, gosh, probably after like 4 uses. And so if you guys ever see those in Big Lots, they're just the round ones. You sometimes see them where they say, oh, do this for in a closet or anything like that. And we just push them on there. And literally, we're using the little 3M Velcro. And now we're leaving the Velcro on the backs of the signs too. So if we have to reuse them. And yes, I will post a picture of it in the group. And they're super, you know what? I think they're just called push lights. I don't know if Big Lots has anything fancy. I don't know, but I'll take a picture of them and I'll send you one, and I'll send you one that's all lit up. And unfortunately, how I started that was a nighttime event at a funeral home that we did for someone that was having a nighttime service. And I kept telling him there's no reason for me to come, for a 7 o'clock service in Florida. It gets dark here at 5:30. And so that was when the first time we tried that was, for a customer, and it worked out great. And I was a nervous Nilly about that. So but they worked. And the thing I like is we've been using them over and over. That first one, I did not charge extra for the lights because I was just worried about it. But after that, Karen, we do now add, I think it's $11 if you want us to add lights for the night. And so far, I think almost everyone that's having a night event, which is mostly the adults, have come out and they add in the $11. And so it's definitely, they've paid from themselves over and over. And I tell them, you can just push on them. So if one goes out, they can just push on them and, start them up again and they stay on for 6 hours. So it's pretty cool. And there are some that change colors. We got one that we didn't know we must have gotten from a different package. One of the lights was changing color. So now we have to make sure we definitely get the white ones. But if you want to get fancy on that. So my next topic that I wanted to talk about was printers. It just seems like we've been deluged with printers. I think for every new yard card company that started, one printer started too. Has anybody had, spectacular luck with a printer? Are there some that you like better? I have to say, the ladies at Epic seem to turn things around super fast for me. And then Yard Card Depot, theirs seems to turn around really fast for me. So those two I've used and I like it because of the speed of it. But luckily, knock on wood, I haven't had to do any like overnight shipping or any emergency things like that. But it just seems like even when I order, they come quickly. How about everybody else?
Get them in like a couple days.
Yeah. And they're from
Um,
Alaska. That surprises me.
Yeah, I didn't know they were in Alaska either. I think until one time I had something happen where I had to contact them, but yeah, they're pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I've used the Epic Print and the Ultra on Etsy.
Oh, I haven't used that one.
And then I've also used Yard Card Supply. And then I did find like a local printer that works with me if I need something printed, a file or something printed quickly. So
Mhm. Yeah, I do have a local gentleman that when I was in the corporate world, I used him for all the signage that I had. I used to manage malls, and so he would do all that signage. So I went back to him and he does great. I mean, I get a 4x8 sheet from him printed and cut for $48. It's just I'm not a designer, so it's hard for me to, because I don't design my own. I wish I did, but I don't. And so it's a really, really good price, but it's just getting the designs that I like and different things would be harder for me. So I'm still using most of the sign companies unless it's something very specific right away. So we'll keep that a secret then. um, Anybody else have any comments about printers? Have you, I know Universal Sign and Graphics in Houston has been, they've been quick on turning things around up there. They're far from me, so it's a lot of shipping for me. So I don't really use them that much because their shipping price is kind of high in different ones. But there's a lot out there. I'm surprised. And, then when you go on Etsy or one of these, it's just like another 100 more out there that are there. Has anybody bought any used signs from any of the used groups designs or the more like elegant, nicer designs? Is anybody going into one way or the other?
I think
I'm
it's been
finding
a
a lot
total.
of people want, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you can go.
Okay. I've been finding a lot of people want the more elegant, and lately I've been getting a lot of requests for neutral themes, like simple neutral is what they say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been getting a lot more too, where it's just birthday in general. They don't want a theme. They just want the party hats and balloons and like birthday for that. And so,
Yeah, I'd say similar. I don't think I've got many requests for specific things, just probably colorways, but not
mhm.
themes. And then they'll give me a couple interests and I'll try to tie that in with what we're doing. But nothing too crazy so far.
Yeah, the only time mine have gone crazy when the Miami Heat were in the playoffs, that kind of went crazy down here. And luckily, the design that they had, one sheet had like 6 of the logos. So we were able to we bought one, but we were able to do more than one setup per night spreading it out with the colors and the go heat and different lettering and stuff. So But I haven't had any one thing really take off that went crazy. I mean, I use my wedding a lot. It's a boy, it's a girl, the coming home ones, but besides the birthdays and then the heat, that's really the only ones that I could say I've used 6 or 7 times of the same graphics over and over again, almost the same design too. But so I need playoffs again. I need the Dolphins and the Heat to be in the playoffs again, which the
I don't
Dolphins
think the
let me down.
Dolphins are gonna happen, right?
Nope, I don't think so. Nope, not at all. So that's kind of funny. So
Oh my
now
gosh.
we have like 3 more minutes, and when Zoom cuts you off, we go dark. So be prepared. If we go dark, I'm not hanging up on you. It's Zoom. But are you guys planning? Have you guys done budgets for 2021? Are you trying to plan ahead? Are you reaching out to your customers? Does anybody want to talk about how they're planning 2021?
I've only been in business since September, so I'm trying to plan 2021, but I really have just gotten my footing on, in the last couple of months. So I am starting to plan. I know I'm probably behind the 8 ball, but I am starting to plan in terms of budget and goals for every month.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I've done is I've made a year-long calendar, and I just made it in Excel. I didn't do anything fancy. And I went in and I went through every invoice that I have created over the last 3 years. And I'll be honest, I did this like a week ago. I haven't been planning like this every year. So, but I went through and I took the last 3 years of invoices and I just put them in date order, and then I categorized them. And from that, I just tried to put whether it was a birthday or a wedding or anything like that. And what I'm trying to do now is, which I actually started yesterday, sending out more emails for all the brides that I've done. Do you want an anniversary setup and different things like that? So I'm trying, because it's much cheaper to get repeat business from your customers than to go out and try to get new customers. And yes, I know Facebook is free and Instagram is free, but it's still your time. And if you can write one quick email that you use over and over, and if you have MailChimp or something like that where you can set it up, and I set up so everything that's going out for January and February, I've already written that email and I have it plugged into my system to where now I don't have to think about it. And so I'm hoping I get 50 to 60% of those people back as repeat customers. And then I'm just out trying to get more customers. So think about that. And the other thing I did is I went and I looked at the chamber, where I'm at, there's like 6 different chambers within 10 miles of me. And I got all their calendars and I wrote all their events in there too, thinking that I can pitch them for their wine and cheese event. I can go a couple of months out and try to pitch them to, in my case, it's a photo booth or balloon decor or the yard signs. And so if you have time to do that, I will say it took me like 5 hours. It took me a long time. It's not something you're going to do in 10 minutes. But I'm curious this year, and I put at the end, I put a column to where I can put if they actually book us this year or not. So now next year I'll be able to see of that time I put in how much is there. So, which I'm actually going to put that together and do it as a little course on Grow Your Business. I'm hoping to have it done in a week or so. And then maybe that can be a course that you guys, if you want to take it, then you'll have a copy of my spreadsheet that you can use. So you're not creating it from scratch and different things. But I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. It says I have less than a minute. And I'm going to be changing up Yard Cards Grow Your Business to where it's going to be much more educational. You probably saw where I did the sales are only going to be on Tuesday just because it was becoming a printer's page and I didn't care for that. So Tuesdays, if you don't want to be pitched, don't go on there on Tuesdays. But we're going to be doing a lot more things to where it's really going to be focusing on growing your business.